Hey y'all. So, as I mentioned last week, I was gonna talk about knowing how you can know someone's a Christian or not. And this isn't the Pharisaical, oh, you're not following yards, or you're not doing what I think a Christian should do, so therefore you're not a Christian. No, this is actually found in the Bible and the Gospel and Jesus, as a matter of fact. Turn with me to Galatians 5:22. Again, that's 5:22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self control. Now, I want to back up a bit. Something that all of this hinges on is the word love. This isn't the love that the world told you about. The love that the world told you about is, oh, you were just born with this love. Doesn't matter who you give it to, you were just born with, you were just born with this love. And however you release it, it's just a good enough outlet. Love is meant for you to be, love is meant for you to be happy after all. But it does say the fruit of the Spirit is love, and the Spirit's love isn't agape love, isn't unselfish love. That's a love that follows biblical and godly principles. Now, I love you go back to Genesis to find is the love between a man and a woman, a love meant for reproduction. But this love that it's talking about here is agape love, is, like I say, unselfish love, just God-centered love. And what God-centered love can never be, God-centered love can never be perverted. God-centered love can never be pointing to the self, can never rely too much on your own happiness, but on the spirit of bringing joy to God, bringing joy to God. That's what spirit-oriented, God-centered love is for. And that's what from this spirit-centered love, it's what all the fruit of the Spirit spring out of. I mean, you got love, you got goodness, you got self-control, kindness, peace, long suffering, joy, faithfulness, all byproducts of the Spirit's love. And if you don't see this, now, I'm not talking about if you see one or two mess ups, one or two things that aren't in line with the Spirit. I'm not talking about that. Because we all mess up. We all do. We all do things that are outside of the Spirit, outside of God. No matter how educated we are on the Spirit, no matter how much we think we know, and no matter how much we think we won't fall, we all do. I'm talking about a direct defiance to biblical teaching and a direct defiance to the Spirit. You don't have to turn it, but you can if you want. I'm just going to read this verse to you. Did you know there's a day when when God sees you as so wicked. Now there's more to this that I'm going to get to in a second. But did you know there will come a day when God sees you as so wicked, God sees your fiat is so corrupt, that He's going to give you over to Satan, that He's going to deliver you over to the devil? It says so in 1 Corinthians 5:5. You are to hand this man over to Satan for the destruction of his body. Now I thought this the first time I saw this, but just to reiterate, this is too for biblical purpose. This too for a godly purpose. The other side of that verse, it goes, you are to deliver him to Satan for physical discipline, to destroy carnal urge, which prompted incest and the like, that his spirit may yet be saved in the day of the Lord. God only gives us up. Now I may need to do a little bit more research on this. From what I can tell right now, God only gives us up to the devil so that maybe it would benefit us. Now it won't always benefit us. But you see, in that following verse, it says, you are to give him to Satan so that his spirit may yet be saved in the day of the Lord. When you play around with Satan, when we play around with sin, there's a consequence that will be paid. Either on this side of heaven or on the other. And we will realize it with the help of God. And when that consequence is paid, I'm talking about not in hell for you, but when that consequence is paid, there's an opening for God to still come in. There's an opening for God to still come in and for us to see, oh, this is how it's supposed to live. We're not supposed to be servants of Satan. We're not supposed to be servants of this world. We're supposed to bring the utmost glory to God. That's what sin can ultimately show us. If our spirit is so willing to see that. So we see that, and this is about our discipline in God. We see that we can tell if someone is a servant of God or not. It takes discipline, and it takes mindfulness, and it takes undying commitment to God. It takes that unselfish judgment that we talked about a few weeks ago, that judgment in God that says, okay, I'm not calling them out for myself. I'm not calling them out so I can feel better. I'm calling them out for God, and so that they can ultimately know the joy that a Christian does feel in Christ Jesus. Sometimes you just gotta let people go. Sometimes you just gotta let people go to their own devices. Yeah, 'cause that's Christ will. Now, as a part of that, he trying to let him go in a way that'll ultimately benefit him, but it won't always. Sometimes you've just gotta let people go to their own devices. Sometimes you've just gotta not to be too hot about it, but you've just gotta give up on them, so to speak. And even then, you're not really giving up on them, you're giving them up to God. You're saying, oh, God, I can't do anything for him or for her, and it's draining me. It's draining me of your spiritual and physical nourishment that you give me. So I'm going to leave them up to your hands, and whatever happens, happens. It's still a choice that they have to make. It's not like, okay, God is going to physically drag them to the cross. It's not like that. But if you leave someone in God's hands, God will do whatever He had to do to get him to see reason, to get him to see the glory of Himself and the glory of His Son. Sometimes people can be draining on you, like I say, but people can never really be a drain on God. I mean, God's reservoir and God's patience and God's tolerance for some things way higher than a human standard ever could be. And He will just say something so perfectly in a way that we can never articulate it. Guys, it can be scary, but sometimes we've just gotta leave things in God's hands so God can do what He had to do, and God can do what He wants to do with them and through them to show them Himself. Guys, I love you. God bless you. I'll see you next week.